Chapter 8. Panopticon. Monday, November 4th, 1991. Roger and Roach slept in shifts to shorten their cross-country sprint. The only stops they'd made in the last 2 days were to fuel up the windowless van or relieve their bodies of waste. The latter usually happened at campgrounds in putrid latrines. His captors wouldn't risk allowing Virgil to speak with potential good Samaritans in public places. Even his meals of raw fruits and vegetables were eaten in transit. This sudden change in diet caused more than a few emergency bio breaks. Virgil spent most of the trip under the darkness of his hood, but during the unmasked moments, he noticed an old TRS-80 computer and homemade private branch exchange interface sitting between the front seats. He assumed they were connecting this PBX system to payphones whenever they stopped for fuel. The whole situation reminded Virgil of the Finders cult from a few years ago when 2 men with similar equipment were caught transporting a gaggle of brainwashed children in Florida. By Virgil's approximations, it was nearing midnight when they reached their final destination. Roach dragged Virgil from the van before Roger yanked the hood from his head. They were standing in a massive dirt courtyard under the blinding glare of stadium lights. A spire rose from the center of the multi-acre compound, marked off from the surrounding desert by towering chain-link fences topped with rows of razor wire. Light from the spire illuminated the facade of a U-shaped 2-story building. Every door and barred window faced the courtyard, Virgil observed. This was a Panopticon come to life. Like from the movie 1984. "Welcome to your new home," Roger said with a chuckle. "Get him to intake. I need to hit the head." Roach stretched his arms skyward and arched his back. "Move, Virgina," said Roger, shoving his cuffed captive. He led Virgil to a standalone trailer at one tip of the U-shaped building close to the main gate. The single room was cold enough to store meat. The roar of an industrial air conditioner in the corner was deafening. An empty desk and folding chair were the only furnishings visible beneath a single bulb dangling from the pair of exposed wires. A broad-shouldered man wearing a 10-gallon hat entered a few moments later, immersed in the contents of an open manila folder. He had a silver gunslinger mustache, an outdated wardrobe, and looked to be in his late 70s. The man fidgeted with his thick glasses. "Virgil Wolfe, male, born 3/15/78, mother Cindy, father Ronald. Repeated truancy, drug use, and illegally possessing a firearm." He tossed the folder onto the desk and sat on the corner closest to Virgil and Roger. "Cut him loose." Roger pulled out a pocket knife and severed the plastic cuffs. Virgil stood stoically, rubbing his wrists. "Do you feel proud hearing your rap sheet read aloud?" Virgil didn't reply, so Roger punched him in the kidney. The shock dropped him to his knees. "You'll answer Dr. Kincaid when he asks you a question." "You're a special kid, Virgil. Not because of anything you've done yet with your life. No, you're special because I knew your father back in Nam. I was his gunny. I saw him under pressure. He's a good man. A capable man. Which means you're capable of becoming a good man, too. This place was built with that singular purpose in mind, and we will maximize our time together to ensure you succeed. Do you understand?" Virgil was still gasping from the first strike, and his delayed response was the excuse Roger needed to kick his other kidney, knocking Virgil to the floor and into the fetal position. "Have you ever heard the term tough love?" asked the doctor. "No," Virgil whimpered. "Tough love is going to save your life, son. We'll break you down, then build you back up. Together we'll create the foundation for a life of good habits. Think of this place as a boot camp for adulthood. You came in that door a child, but by God, you'll leave here a man with honor and discipline. Or you'll die in the process. Got me?" Virgil could only muster a grunt in reply. Dr. Kincaid motioned to Roger, who forced Virgil off the ground. "Now, we have some rules around here. The first rule is that you'll get permission for everything you do. Before asking a question, before eating, and before using the bathroom. Clear?" Virgil looked into the man's eyes. "Yes." "The second rule is that you'll refer to your superiors as sir. Got it?" "Yes, sir." "Here's the final rule, and it's the most important of the bunch. No one can save you from this place except yourself. Through hard work, you'll earn every necessity and comfort. Complying with these 3 rules is the only way forward. Do you get me? Yes, sir. Normally your transporters wouldn't be your instructors, but your daddy emphasized how worried he is for your well-being. We sent our best men to retrieve the guys who kidnapped me. Boy, you aren't a fast learner, are you? Dr. Kincaid chuckled, waving a hand at Roger, who snatched Virgil by the wrists and wrenched his arms behind his back to the edge of their breaking point. The doctor grabbed Virgil by the chin and hunched over to stare into his eyes. Roger and Roach are your new family. Best you treat them with respect, you hear? The doctor's grip immobilized Virgil's jaw, so he nodded. Good. Dr. Kincaid stood upright. Welcome to Camp Meta. Roger loosened his grip and pushed Virgil back into the courtyard towards another trailer at the other tip of the U-shaped building. Have a seat. Roger pointed to a barber chair. Virgil complied, and his hair was summarily sacrificed to the hungry metal jaws of Roger's electric clippers. Stand up, Roger demanded. Strip. All the way. Vulnerable couldn't begin to describe this experience, Virgil thought. Take off your necklace, Roger ordered. Virgil hesitated, stroking the gift from Angela. Roger ripped it free, sending puka shells cascading onto the linoleum. Grab that broom and sweep this shit up. And don't get cute. Roger lifted his shirt, revealing Virgil's beretta tucked into the waistband of his pants. Virgil completed the task, despite the extreme pain emanating from his kidneys. Roger tossed him a layer of thermals and a 2-piece red suit consisting of shorts and a short-sleeve button-up shirt. Put that on. Then you'll use the bathroom. Once dressed, Roger led Virgil to a door at the closest tip of the main building and into a massive communal shower. Toilets lined one wall with no partitions between them. At the far end of the space was another door leading to a small adjoined room. Tools hung on the wall above an expansive workbench positioned over an open hatch leading into the floor. Keep your eyes where they belong. On the toilet. Roger shut the door to the other room, placing his right hand against a large metal plate on the wall to actuate the electronic lock. Virgil wasn't sure if it was the kidney shots or stage fright, but his time sitting on the toilet was unfruitful. He wasn't given a chance to wash his hands before being led to the courtyard, where Roger gave him a quick lay of the land. The lower floors to your east and west are dorm rooms. There are no more than 6 kids to a dorm. To your north, Roger said, pointing at the crosspiece of the U-shape, are the classrooms. Immediately above that, on the second floor, is the mess hall. The corners of the second floor are the OP rooms to the west and the Stardust room to the east. Directly above the dorms are the Superior's living quarters, and on the far side of the building are the exercise grounds. Roger led Virgil past the spire to the western part of the courtyard and placed his hand on another scanner mounted beside one of the dorm doors. All these locks must be biometric-based, meaning the camp's computer network likely controls them. Inside the barren room were 6 Murphy beds, stacked like bunks against 3 of the walls. All but one was occupied. In the dark space, Virgil couldn't discern any of his 5 roommates' faces. You've got less than 5 hours until Reveille, Roger said before exiting, the electronic lock actuating behind him. He moved to the empty bottom bunk and laid on his battered back. Dr. Kincaid's voice was speaking in the background. Hey, new meat. What's your name? A wheezy-sounding kid asked. What? Virgil replied at full volume. Shh! Another hushed young voice emphasized. If they catch us talking, we'll all end up in OP, a raspy voice replied. What's that? Virgil asked. Observational placement, the hushed voice explained. A padded cell on the second floor. Everyone calls them boo-hoo rooms. Totally soundproof. You don't want to find out what happens in there. A few of Virgil's roommates laughed at the macabre warning. What's with Kincaid's voice? Am I really hearing that, or is it a hallucination? Big brother, a snarky-sounding kid replied. It's real. They play this inspirational track 24/7 in all the rooms. Better memorize what he's saying, said a baritone-voiced boy. They randomly test you on it. They just turn the volume way down at night. You'll learn to sleep through it, or you'll go nuts. What's Reveille? Virgil inquired. Wake-up call. It's sunrise, the raspy kid answered. But don't worry. You'll come to fear sleeping on account of all the nightmares. Virgil's stomach ached from the disclosure. What do you guys think is worse? The baritone voice muttered. The weekly character modification therapy or the scabies?
Therapy?
The other 4 voices whispered in unison and laughed.
What's your name?
The wheezy voice asked again. Virgil.
Welcome to hell, Virgil, he replied. The showers are cold, the food is terrible, the work is grueling, and you'll never escape.
Virgil's spirit sunk further into his rock-hard mattress. Why don't you tell your parents what it's like here? Virgil's questions got another round of laughs. Let me guess who you are, said the baritone voice. You're a rich kid who was ditching school and disappointing your parents because you weren't following in their footsteps. Then they caught you with weed? That was shockingly close to the truth, Virgil thought. They also caught me with a handgun and... Check out Jean-Claude Van Damme, the snarky boy mocked. Is everyone's story the same? Virgil asked. They all share a common core, but not everyone is a rich kid like you. My parents mortgaged their house to pay my way, the baritone boy explained. Then they washed their hands of me. I've been here for 18 months, and have only talked to my father once. A camp soup sat next to me the whole time. It's not like I could say anything about how we're treated. Not that it'd matter. My father spent the whole call lecturing me to use fewer pencils since he was paying $20 a piece for them. What's a soup? Virgil questioned. All the boys answered simultaneously.
Supervisor? Here's all you need to know,
the raspy roommate said, jumping into the fray.
This place criminalizes adolescents. If you follow any of your natural instincts, you'll end up in a world of hurt. They'll exercise you to the point of collapse, place you in a stress position until your muscles fail, then hit you with pepper spray for giving up. Kids have killed themselves. One climbed the spire and let go. She died in front of everyone. The soups glued broken glass bottles to the outside of the structure so no one could do that again. Like I said earlier, welcome to hell, Virgil.
Virgil didn't want to believe this was his life now, and he wept loudly in his bunk. None of his roommates offered any comfort. Virgil's cries were cut short by the sound of the lock actuating. Roger stood in the doorframe. Get up! Everyone but Virgil jumped from bed and formed a line in the center of the room. Grab him, Roger demanded. All 5 roommates dragged Virgil off his mattress, each seizing one of his appendages plus his head. They carried him through the courtyard, up a flight of rusted metal stairs to the 2nd level of the building, and tossed him into a boo-hoo room. The sound of their laughter was silenced by the slam of the door, leaving him alone in the total darkness.